mother was active. I had lived out in the West Coast, and when I came back to Connecticut, my mother was involved with the NAACP. My sister, Jerry White, encouraged me to get involved, and I did very early on. And I learned from them. They had been involved with the Concerned Citizens Group, and I understand they were instrumental in getting the NAACP started again after being defunct for about 10 years. So education was always a priority with the NAACP. Discrimination in employment and housing. We were involved in conducting research into the hiring practices at the public colleges and universities, and with Mr. Hooks, we put together a report and went to higher ed and met with the officials.
And I was born and raised in Tuskegee, Alabama.
When you joined the NAACP, what were the main issues facing the Tuskegee community that motivated you to become a member?
One was certainly an ongoing problem with the fear of lynching and not being able to vote, and the NAACP was the answer to that.
And the New Haven community made you join the New Haven branch.
The apparent lack of political power, the difficulties certainly in the business area in obtaining loans, inequalities of education, the economic situations were not equal at all. In the business situation, it was almost nil.
Were there any important events in this country that made your commitment to the NAACP even stronger?
There was not the opportunity open to encourage African Americans to start businesses and compete. And that was my general background and general area. And so we thought that we could do something about it with the help and support of the NAACP. And they didn't mind getting their hands dirty and going in and fighting for that right and for that privilege. And they did.
When did you become active in the NAACP and why?
After I came to New Haven, which was right when my husband started practicing medicine here, and I became interested in the New Haven community. And I always admired the NAACP and the Urban League, and so those were two organizations I first became part of.
Was there any particular event that prompted you to join the NAACP?
The civil rights movement was in full swing, and Martin Luther King was a hero, and things were changing all over. And so in order to be a part of that change, we thought it was important to join the NAACP.
Early 60s, right after I got back home from college, I joined the NAACP.
When you joined the NAACP,
what was happening during that particular time that really motivated me to join the NAACP was housing discrimination and job discrimination. I remember very, very well a housing discrimination case out in Hamden, Connecticut. DeWitt Jones was trying to purchase a house in Hamden, and he was flatly denied because of the fact that he was black. The NAACP played a very active role.
My name is Henry E. Parker. People call me Hank.
what were the main issues facing the New Haven community that motivated you to become a member?
New Haven in the 57 and 58 when I came here had a program called redevelopment. When they had the redevelopment program take place, we were moving people out of houses, tearing them down, building new houses, and so African Americans were being shifted. We were trying to move toward Newhallville, but what we learned to do was to go toward Dwight. The Hill neighborhood had an awful problem with the city of New Haven. So one of the things that was driving us, in addition to the question of bias, racism, and that sort of thing, was the fact that we couldn't find places to live. It was very difficult to prevent lynchings. It was there in 1954 for Brown versus the Board of Education. It was there in 1956 with Rosa Parks and Dr. Martin Luther King. It was there in 1961 with the Freedom Riders. It was there as an architect of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Fair Housing Act of 1968, and the Equal Employment Act of 1972. It was there in Boston.
The branch for 25 years?
Yes, he was a branch secretary for 25 years.
You mentioned that you met Charles Houston at Howard when you matriculated there as a freshman in the 1930s.
Yes, I was directed by my father to be sure to contact Charles Houston almost as soon as I got there.
Natalie, you also mentioned that in the 1940s you joined the NAACP here in New Haven.
I joined the NAACP in New Haven because the headquarters was located at my home at 70 Dixville Avenue.
Opportunities for gainful employment. We wanted good political representation. We wanted fuller participation in community development. And certainly in the area of business, we were concerned to see that we had viable businesses integrated into the general community. Also, obviously, there were educational issues involved. We wanted to make sure our schools were fully equipped in terms of teaching our students and youngsters that they were to be the future leaders and therefore